As long as you derive inner help and comfort from anything, keep it. Mahatma Gandhi. I want to tell you a few great things about him. He is a perfect example what you study in your younger age. You know, he was able to inspire by Harishchandra drama and he never told lies. Even in his autobiography, he has made everything revealed irrespective of good or bad. So he's really an amazing person. Even I was inspired by one of his lifestyle. Self-help is the best help. I hope you can take a leaf out of my book and do well in your life with good personality. Hello Shishas, welcome to Animal Tissues Lecture 8. This is the final topic for the phase 1. Let us try to understand the animal tissues. Unlike the plant tissues, the animal tissues are also a group of cells, differentiated cells that form various organs of the body. And animal tissues not only cause the growth and they perform a lot of functions. It includes movement from one to another part, and the animal tissues are varied. You can see a lot of diversity in the animal tissues. The animal tissues are composed of the living cells and non-living matrix. These are major difference. So when we try to study about the plant tissues, we don't use the term matrix, and whereas here we will try to use the term matrix. The matrix may include any of these substances. It could be the water, minerals, protein, fibers. Based upon the internal structure and the functions, we have classified the tissues of animals into four major types. The first tissue we're going to learn about is the epithelial tissues. The epithelial tissues is where they have minimal matrix and there won't be blood supply to them, and mostly they attach the connective tissues with the help of the basement membrane, and the function of this is the protection, secretion when they overlie over the glands, and then the transport when they can be seen in the blood capillaries. Based upon some features, again the epithelial tissues are classified into two major types. One is the number of layers, another one is the cell appearance. Let me take you through a presentation which could be somewhat better for you to understand it. Okay, here it is. So here you can see the animal tissues are different types, and firstly you can observe the layers, the epithelial tissues and different types. First is terms referring to the layers. The simple layer refers to the single layer, and then the stratified refers to the more than one layer, and then you can also see, 1 minute, I'll try to reduce the size of it. Oops, so less. Okay, okay, the simple one layer, stratified, more than one layer, pseudo stratified, false appearance of many layers. Usually it won't be many layers. And next I can see the terms referring to the cell shapes. The squamous refers to the flat, and cuboidal refers to the cube, and columnar rectangular columns, and transitional they can be able to change the shape or which have more elastic nature. Let us try to understand each one. So the other one we are going to look is the general structure of epithelial tissues. Generally the basal surface you can see here, and then the apical surface. So these are the layers. You can see the nucleus in this region, and here this is the stratified, where you can see many layers of the cells here. The basement membrane has many layers. Here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 different layers of the cells here, so it is called as the stratified. And now we'll try to look at the shapes of the cells. So here also you can see the squamous, the single layer, and here the cuboidal cells. One is a three-dimensional, another one is two-dimensional. The nucleus you can see in columnar, it's pushed towards the edge of the cell, cell and tissue. And now we'll also look at the tissues and its functions one by one. So first I'm going to show you the simple squamous epithelium. So here you can see the histology image here. I hope you remember this 125x part. So when you observe under microscope, you have to represent it. So it's a direct image of the air sacs or the lung tissue. And here the main function, you can see this simple squamous epithelial tissue is seen in case of the lungs mostly, and including the kidney glomeruli and also the lining of heart blood vessels as we seen earlier. And the nuclei is pushed towards in some region, and the basement membrane is not referred here. And then you can see the next type of tissue called a simple cuboidal tissue. So where the same single layer of cuboidal tissue. So here you can see the basement membrane and the cells forming on it. Histologically it has the basement membrane here and then the simple cuboidal cells on its surface. And here you can also see the connective tissues. So mostly these ones will attach to the connective tissues of the body. Next we can see about the simple columnar epithelium. So the simple columnar epithelium, I think this is an extract from the stomach or the digestive part of the plant, digestive plant part of the animal. So this is the stomach mucosa. So you can see even the mucous glands here. It is associated with mucous glands, mostly the basement membrane and then the nucleus in blue color. And you can see how the columnar cells are arranged. And also you can observe here a lot of other regions where you can see similar type of tissues. Alright, I want you to look at this particular cell, the goblet cells. So they mainly secrete the mucus, so that plays major role in protecting the stomach walls. Alright, so let us look at the next type of tissue. So the next tissue we're going to look at is the pseudo-stratified epithelium. So the pseudo-stratified epithelium, it will not have many layers, but in appearance it looks like it has many layers. So you can see similar thing here. So mostly in trachea region you can find these type of cells. The single layer of cells, you can see all the dots refers to the nucleus, the single nucleus. They are pushed towards one region, and you can see they have staggered cell appearance. That's why they appear like pseudo-stratified. That means they fool us by showing multi-layered. So these were the example for that in the trachea region. And next we can have a look at, we should start with the stratified squamous epithelium. So here also you can see so how many layers of cells are being formed. And here the example is from esophagus. You can see a lot of nuclei and then the basement membrane and then the connective tissue lying below that. So that's about stratified epithelium. And next we have the transitional epithelium. So the transitional epithelium is one of the tissue you can see in the uterus or urethra regions of the excretory system. So where they have ability to just stretch over, and then they have very much importance in the absorption of these substances and then allowing the substances to move towards it. So here you can see the basement membrane and then connective tissue, the transitional epithelium. So one of the very important regions of the excretory system. And then we can see the examples here. So this slide particularly about where we can see specific type of tissue. The simple squamous epithelial tissues can be seen in case of lungs, and simple cuboidal in case of the kidneys, and then simple columnar epithelium in the small intestine, and then the pseudo-stratified in the tracheal lining, and then the stratified squamous epithelium in the mouth lining, and then you can see stratified cuboidal epithelium in salivary glands and the sweat glands, and then the stratified columnar epithelium in male reproductive part, and the transitional epithelial tissues in case of bladder, and that's about major things. And then even I try to recall you about the glandular epithelium. So when you say glandular, it is associated with the glands. Alright, that's about various tissues of the epithelium. Now let us try to understand about the other type of tissue. Now we'll try to look at the next type of tissue called the muscle tissue. The muscle tissue is one of the tightly packed cells where you can see the major function of this is to provide even the muscle fibers that can be able to provide the contraction and relaxation of various points of the body. And here I can see they have the specific muscle fibers called the myofibril. Remember, the myo is a Latin term that refers to the muscle always. And next we can see the three different types of muscles. The first is called as a simple muscle. The simple muscles are spindle shaped, and you'll find striations. Sorry, you will not find striations. That's why these are called as non-striated muscles. And you can also see these having ability to perform involuntarily. So the regions where you'll find most smooth muscle is over the arteries and veins, and also the esophagus is made up of the simple muscle. And the specific non-voluntary movements it shows is called as the peristaltic movement. But unlike the skeletal muscle, they can be able to work for longer time. Next we can look at the skeletal muscle. So skeletal muscles are most surface area, the muscles which cover most surface area in our body, and they play a major role in the voluntary movements. And if you observe the structure of that, you can see the fibers bundled together in the parallel fashion, and also you can see they have covered with the sheath of connective tissue. They have striations, that's why these are also called as striated muscle. And these are going to be get tired or fatigue very faster. The reason is the lactic acid will be deposited in the muscles when the oxygen is not available for longer time. Alright, so that's about skeletal muscle. And the cardiac muscle, the name itself says the cardiac muscle is only seen in the heart region. Do not see in anywhere else in the body. It will have the communication junctions at the region where the adjacent cells can be combined. So here we can call them as the intercalated discs. So these are some fusion points where the energy or the nutrients will be transferred from one nucleus to another nucleus. And one more interesting thing is the cardiac muscle never get fatigued, and even these regions will be able to produce the impulses, and they can be able to pass through it. And the durability of cardiac muscle, it almost works, so 100 years of lifetime, so whoever lives longer. So about these three muscle types, let me take you through the presentation. This are all over. Okay, not this. Okay, these are few questions. Now you can see here the smooth muscle. If you observe the structure, you can see the single nucleus. All of them are here like spindles. And the smooth muscle, the nuclei, the original the smooth muscle under the microscope at the 16x region, and there are no visible striations and only one nucleus per cell, and mostly these are separated. Alright, next muscle is skeletal muscle. You can see the skeletal muscle which has the bundles, a lot of fibers in the parallel fashion, and these are mostly voluntary, striated, and they have more than one nucleus. You can see the nucleus seen, and there is a lot of interesting mechanism happening inside the muscles, how they utilize ATP and they can be able to move the muscles with the help of with the impulses generated by the central nervous system as well. And finally, let us have a look at the cardiac muscle. It is almost looks like skeletal muscle, whereas the interconnected discs are the major differences here. The nucleus is also there. It's quite common. It's not commonly seen like the skeletal muscle, and even these are also called as striated, and nucleus is also limited to one cell. Right, so I can say this is nothing but a fusion of both the smooth muscle as well as the skeletal muscle. So these are the histology images of the muscle cells. Uh, Now we'll try to continue with the connective cells. So the connective cells here, the connective cells are most covered regions of the body, we can say, and they have a lot of functions where they can be able to carry proteins and then matrix, and even they can be seen in the elasticity flexibility regions of the body. Let me Alright, so here we can see the here I try to make a small table here. There is a lot of content which to be covered. So first, based on the types, so first one is called as circulation. Generally, general terms, the book says like fluid connective tissue. So here I am trying to refer the general term circulation or circulatory tissue. The fluid connective tissue, there are two different fluid connective tissues here. Sorry, so one is blood, another one is lymph. The cells which composes this are the RBC, WBC and platelets, and the matrix present in it is the plasma, and the important functions of this is the transportation of gases, RBC, WBC, immune defenses, and the plasma refers to the wastage management, and also nutrients will be carried through the plasma, and the platelets will play a major role in the blood clotting as well. And next is the lymph. So lymph is majorly composed up of the cells called the leukocytes, the matrix itself called as the lymph, right? Next thing is the widely distributed tissues. These are classified into the loose connective tissues and dense connective tissue based on uh, the matrix, how close the matrix is arranged. So first thing is called as adipose tissue. The adipose tissue refers to the tissues that have the adipose cells, and they have the fat droplets, and they play a major role in insulation and cushion. The insulation part, you can see the people or the animals which have a lot of adipose cells or adipose tissues, they can be able to prevent the cold conditions. So like you can see the polar bear, so it will have a lot of insulation. That means they have a lot of adipose tissue. And next is the areolar tissue. So the areolar tissue will have the fibroblast as the cells, and then the important matrix components are collagen and elastic fibers. And you can see these areolar tissue around the vessels and organs, and they also try to absorb the shocks, and they prevent the failure of the organs up to certain extent. And next is the dense connective tissue. The dense connective tissues are like, if you observe the histological images, so the cells, the matrix will not have any gaps. They try to make very very close bundle or packed bundles that gives the strength of the tissue. So here the same cells, fibroblasts are here, and you can see the dense collagen. So almost same thing, but you can see collagen is very very close. The major function of this is they're going to attach the muscle to bones. Okay, so tendons, MTB, so muscle to bone. And then ligaments. So ligaments are also made up of similar type of cells called fibroblasts, and they have a lot of elastic fibers. So you can see the bone to bone connectivity will be provided by these specific dense connective tissues. Alright, so next is the structural supporting connective tissues. The structural connecting supportive tissues are bone and then cartilage. So the bone and cartilage are some of the important structural supporting tissues. So you can see they are made up of the osteocytes or osteocytes, the cells that play a major role in the formation of the bones, and then osteoblasts. So blast always refers to the one which forms the cells. And here the matrix is interesting. So you can see the minerals like phosphate and calcium. So they are the structural backbones, and they have the RBC production points in the bone marrow. And interestingly, you can see this the fluid connective tissue or circulatory tissue, and this, both of them are relatively opposite. So the reason is the matrix plasma is nearly made up of it is 55%. So mostly this 55% will have 90% of water, and here it's almost reverse. So you can see nearly it will have at least 90% of these minerals, phosphorus, calcium in larger extents. So that's why it's one of the strongest structure of the body. And next is the cartilage. So the cartilages are made up of the chondrocytes, the specific cells, and they provide the firm matrix. And the main function of this is they're going to reduce the friction, and you can see mostly they can be seen in case of joints, and also the shape forming structures like the nose tip and then ear. And now we'll go through the structures. Alright, so here you can see the blood. In the blood, the matrix already seen. So WBC cells, and here you can see the red blood cells very clearly, the neutrophil, a type of white blood cell, and then the red blood cells, and then the monocytes are seen in this one around 1500x resolution. And next we can look at the adipose tissue. Sorry. So the adipose tissue is the one where you can see the nuclei of the cells, and all these depositions are nothing but the fat regions or fat droplets, we can say. So they also play a major role in insulating the body and protect some of the organs. And then here the site of fuel storage, or we can say the fat storage. Alright, so next issue is okay, adipose tissue is over. Now the areolar connective tissue. So the areolar connective tissue, I can say a lot of components here: the fibers of matrix, the nuclei of fibroblast, and then the mucosa epithelium. It is a three-dimensional structure, I can say. And here you can see the original picture, the version histograph of the areolar connective tissue. The elastic fibers are there, collagen fibers are there, then fibroblast nuclei are there. Okay, the thread-like structures are elastic fibers. So they also have a lot of applications, and they are soft pliable tissues as well. Next is the tendons. So tendons, as I told you, they are going to connect muscle to bone, or MTB. So here you can see some of the examples. So the specific region we can call as tendon, Achilles tendon. Even it's broadly used in the medical community. And here in the it is one of the internal structure of the hand. You can see how clearly the tendon is here. It's going to attach the muscle to bone here. So these are tarsals. And one more thing I want to tell you is about the synovial fluid. So the synovial fluid is a type of grease, I can say, the grease between the bones, so which will be reducing the reducing the friction. And when the people get older, so this synovial fluid will not be produced in the required quantities. When it is not produced in the required quantities, they are going to face a lot of pain in all the joints. Okay, it is also one of the important function of the synovial fluid. And now let us look at the next one, the ligament. So which connects bone to bone. You can see different ligaments connecting bone to bone. and generally we have some medical condition called a sprain. So when these ligaments are broadly stretched, when they're stretched in uh, than larger than allowed, so they are going to cause a sprain. So that's about the ligaments part, right? And think I finally have something else. Okay, I think I told you about fascia. So it consists of most elastin fibers, and the damage of this may cause the irritation and swelling. So I told you about my experience when I was watching the dissection of the real human body. You can see the fascia is getting damaged here, so that there is too much of stretching, and it's really amazing to see how human body internally appears. Alright, so we'll try to go back and learn about the the nervous tissue. So one of the tissues that is exceptionally working and exceptional structure is the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue's main function is to send the impulses to brain and then bring it back, or it receive at the various body organs. So if you observe the neuron cell, so the basic uh, the basic structure of nervous system is nothing but the neuron. So it is a function. You can see three different structures here. One is cell body, the dendrite, and then the axon. So these three regions will have major functions. So let me explain you through the animation. Sorry, through the image. Oh, I think I missed this cartilaginous part. Okay, yesterday I missed that fibrous cartilage, fibrocartilage. So I told you three different cartilages are there. The hyaline cartilage, which have the chondrocytes and mostly seen in nose, end, bones and ribs, rings and trachea. And then the elastic cartilage, outer ear, and then the fibrocartilage between the vertebrae and knee joints. I was unable to recall this yesterday. Okay, so these are about different cartilaginous cells. Now we'll try to continue with the nervous system, or the neuron. Okay, here you can clearly observe the neuron structure here. The different parts here is, this region is called as the cell body. So this is cell body, and then you can see the stretching part is called as the axon. Okay, it is stretching region, and then you can see the axon ends at a particular region. It is called as the axon terminal. Over the surface of the axon terminal, you can see the nodes of Ranvier, and then you can see similar particles in the nephron, sorry, in the neuron, that you see in the cell as well. Okay, I wanted to remember about Nissel's granules, a type of ribosomes seen in case of this region. Actually, this picture is not showing that. So the Nissel's granules work like the ribosomes in the cell body of the neuron. And also you can see the dendrites. So dendrites are the communicating branches where they can be able to receive the impulse. So here you can see, so it's going to provide the synapse here. So synapse is the junction between the neurons, and here you can see how it's going to transfer. These are nothing but small vesicles of Golgi apparatus, and these are going to fall on this. So once they fall on this, so it will be processed inside in the Golgi apparatus, and it will be transferred to the next nephron. You can see, so one of the nephron is joined here and another one joined here, and it's going to transmit the impulses rapidly, and the direction is always differs. All right, that's about neuron and structure. So three parts: one is dendrite, another one is a cell body, and then axon terminal, and towards the other one. All right, so this is about the animal tissues.